Maggie and Kate, you have co-host. Good morning, everybody. We still have people pop in and out, so go ahead and get started right at 9 o'clock, and it may get a little choppy if I have to let people in, so apologize in advance for that. All right, welcome everybody to Town of Barnstable Site Plan Review. My name is Brian Florence, and I'll be chairing this meeting this morning. Site plan review is where we bring project applicants together with regulatory staff in order to review projects that are being proposed here in Barnstable. If it's determined that your project needs to go before a multi-member board, such as the Zoning Board of Appeals or the Planning Board, we'll try to identify that here. You may have noticed that this meeting is being recorded. This is, while it's not a public meeting, we do keep a recording of our formal site plan review meetings. Did I say this was informal? Sorry, this is a formal version of it. We do keep a recording of that for the public to be able to view. So if you need access to that recording, just let Maggie know and she'll provide that for you. The way we conduct this meeting is that we read a case into the record, and then we turn it over to the applicant to give a brief description of their project and an overview of relevant details such as zoning, parking, wastewater, etc. Once the applicant's finished, I bring the case back to the staff for questions and comments and any back and forth dialogue with the applicant. We will be producing a letter from these proceedings, so please don't feel like you have to write down every detail that's discussed. I mean, I'm not telling you don't take notes, but we're going to do that for you. So if you need a copy of that and you're not the applicant, please feel free to just ask Maggie. We'll help you with that. If you need to share plans with the group here, I've got this set up so that you can share plans. If you are not familiar with how to do that, just let us know, and one of our staff members would be happy to bring the plans up for you and kind of help you walk through those. If you are going to share plans, just please let me know ahead of time so that we don't interrupt the meeting. And if you're going to speak, please state your name clearly for the record. With that said, we'll go ahead and begin. Maggie, do you want to go ahead and read our first case?
Yes, our first case today is site plan review 22-12 for Arista Hyannis LLC, represented by attorney Eliza Cox. Address is 715 West Main Street in Hyannis, map parcel 249. Zoning is HB as well as the WP overlay. The applicant is proposing a remodel of the former Santander Bank building with an existing drive-through. The drive-through window will be modified for its proposed use and additional improvements. No changes to the building footprint are being proposed. One improvement will be to modify existing setbacks to allow for pass-by lane in the drive-through aisle. Modifications are also being proposed for parking, circulation, and side driveways, as well as curb cut changes through right turn only. This application has been heard at informal site plan review on 10/4, 1/3/2023, and 3/14/23.
Thank you, Maggie. And who would like to begin?
I will. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Site Plan Review Committee. For the record, my name is Eliza Cox. I'm an attorney with Nutter, McLennan and Fish, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant. Joining me this morning on behalf of the property owner, Arista Hyannis LLC, is Greg Batsavalis. On behalf of Wendy's, the proposed user of the site, Usama El Sarahi is here. Todd Mcdonald, who you'll hear from shortly from BSD Group, who's the engineer on the project, is on this meeting, as is Randy Hart from VHB, the traffic engineer. As this committee is very familiar with this project, as Maggie indicated, it's been pending through numerous reviews with the informal process since October of last year. I think the last meeting was actually on the 28th of March, at which time this was sent to formal. The proposal, and Todd, if you want to pull up the existing conditions plan as I'm talking, that would be great. The proposal consists of remodeling the existing building on the property, which is the former Santander Bank building, which had 2 drive-through lanes, and converting the building within the existing footprint to a Wendy's restaurant with a single drive-through lane. This, of course, shows the existing conditions, the property having frontage on both West Main Street and Pine Street. Todd, if you want to go to the proposed plan, and I'll have Todd walk through the changes in just a minute, but just to provide sort of a brief overview, there are many site improvements associated with this proposal, including redesigning the curb cut on West Main Street to a right out only curb cut, and significantly narrowing the width of the curb cut, installing new pedestrian connections from West Main Street into the site, new stormwater basins, new plantings. All in all, the proposal will make the site more conforming to the impervious coverage by reducing slightly the impervious coverage on the site. And the reason we're here, of course, is the site is in the highway business zoning district. And although there is an existing drive-through with 2 lanes that served the prior bank building, the conversion of the drive-through to a drive-through serving a restaurant or food establishment requires a special permit from the zoning board. And so that would be our next step in the permitting process. So what I think I'd like to do right now is just turn it over to Todd to briefly walk through the layout, and then our whole team is here should the committee have any additional questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, good morning. Todd Mcdonald from BSC Group. As Liza mentioned, we are modifying the existing site to change the site into a Wendy's drive-through. We're maintaining the existing building footprint other than modifying the drive-through canopy, which is around on the left. Other site improvements include modifying parking, the drive aisle, and vehicle circulation. So if we start down here on Pine Street, which is the only entrance onto the site, we're maintaining the existing curb cut. We have 9 proposed parking spaces here on the left, plus 2 employee-only parking in this back corner. Additionally, we've added this slip lane to maximize how many vehicles can queue in the drive-through waiting line. So that this will fill up here. We have proposed a lot of signage and pavement markings, which we've gone through a number of iterations to try to maximize the safety and efficiency of all. So then, as Liza mentioned, we have the exit only, right turn only onto West Main Street, which is modifying the curb cut and extending the sidewalk and pedestrian access. Here we have all the drive-through electric boards and order points. And then as you come down here, we have, since we're modifying the drive-through canopy, we have a lane around the outside where vehicles can pass through. And then right here, we have a pull ahead space, which is just a temporary zone where people can pull ahead and people can still pass around the outside. It'll be for people who have issues with their order or just quick up to be a parking space, just a temporary loading area. And here's the grading, drainage, and utility plan, where we have proposed improvements to site drainage, including based off informal review comments. We've expanded the size of the infiltration system to capture the 10-year storm without any surcharging, which is overall the site drainage is improving by quite a lot. Even though we're not making huge changes on the site, we're providing a much newer, updated system, which will improve the drainage for the whole site. And we're maintaining gas and water, and as well as upgrading the sewer. We have a proposed grease trap, and we're tying into the existing sewer system along West Main Street. And here we have our vehicle circulation plan, which shows an example of how vehicles would queue in the waiting line and to its full capacity. So as we've shown, we have this outer lane, which is a proposed improvement, which will maximize the safety of the site. and allow these people in these parking spaces to be able to exit safely without interfering with the line. That should just about cover all the proposed site changes. So I think we can move on to any questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Liza, anything else from your team?
No, I think that concludes our presentation, unless you have questions, of course.
Okay, if you could drop the screen share, that would be helpful. Thank you. All right, Maggie, have you received any correspondence on this matter?
Nothing additional has been received, Brian.
Great, thank you. Kate,
Thank you, Brian. Kate Maldonado, Planning and Development. Our comments are consistent with those that were presented through informal site plan review, but for the record, I will run through them quickly this morning. This proposal includes a drive-through, which requires a special permit to be sought from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Staff, Planning and Development, we continue to advise the applicant of our concerns with the inadequate amount of stacking cars for the drive-through. Any encroachments within the right-of-way will require a license for use of town property from the town manager. Quick note that with the transportation study, the Zoning Board of Appeals will review that transportation study in further detail, and they may request a peer review of that transportation study when you're seeking a special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals. We do have concern with the vehicles entering on Pine Street and with vehicles continuing straight and not actually lining up in the drive-through queue. And then we would like to see a complete signage plan for all directional signage as well as building signage, and that includes the menu board, the pre-sale menu board, the main menu board, and we highly recommend that those signs are non-internally illuminated. Thank you.
thank you, Kate. Next up is Matt, please.
Matt Roble, DPW Engineering. Similar to what Kate had said a moment ago, our comments are relatively consistent with the ones that we have presented at previous informal site plan reviews. A couple of them have been knocked off in regards to the drainage calculations. We've seen updated drainage plans that do address the 10-year storm and keep the stormwater contained within the system. Additionally, our comments regarding the crosswalk, we're going to have some additional comments back and forth with Randy and the team afterwards. But for the most part, we're in agreement that we're looking to do a couple of additional crosswalks. We're just hammering out the additional information. One would be located on Pine Street, connecting the existing crosswalk in front of the Santander Bank to the crosswalk across the street on Pine Street. And then one at the intersection of Pine and West Main Street. And then one additionally, basically at the entrance to the high school, crossing to Wendy's, the new site development. Additionally, we have removed our comments regarding the sightline distances. So just hitting on the things that we are still looking to address. We still have some minor disagreement with them as far as the use of COVID era trip generation data. I understand that it was the best data that they had available. It's just, that's not what we think is a representative year. So we just like that to go on the record as they move through permitting. Same thing with the IT trip generation calculations. It appears that they've done all of the math correctly. They can't do anything as far as changing the information that they have available to them to use, but we just don't think it's necessarily representative of the conditions on site. And then other than that, our comments for the most part have remained consistent. We've still got concerns as far as the employee provided parking spaces, and then just the available queuing lengths. DPW doesn't have any other comments at this time though, and I will forward any correspondence that we have with the members of the applicant's team after this meeting.
All right, and I trust that you will get those comments to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Yeah, correct. I can forward them to your team, and I can also forward them to zoning as well.
Very good. All right, thank you. Next up is Lieutenant Landman, please.
Good morning, Brian. Tim Landman, Hyannis Fire Department, Fire Prevention. Fire Department access concerns have been addressed previously with this. We're happy with the plans that have been presented to accommodate accessibility for our apparatus. Any other issues that Fire Department have with this project can be addressed during the permitting process. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Deputy Carter.
Thank you, Brian. Jeff Carter, Building Division. I don't have any follow-up questions, just a couple of comments that were provided at informal. That's a building permit is required for the renovation of the structure. It is going to fall under construction control, and we'll also be looking for the 2015 existing building code analysis to go along with that. And then any signage would also be required to get a building permit through the Building Division. Those are our comments, Brian.
Great, thank you. Last and certainly not least, David Stanton.
Thank you, Brian. David Stanton with Health. The only main comment we have is just if approved, they will need to obtain a food permit, and that's all. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So staff, if you could just forward, we're going to put a letter out. If you could just review, I'm going to ask each of you to review the letter because it's going to the Zoning Board of Appeals for consistency with what your issues and concerns are. With that said, does anybody see any reason why this matter can't move forward to the Zoning Board of Appeals? All right. Seeing none, I would find this matter as approvable as presented with the committee's concerns and questions duly noted and to be forwarded to the Zoning Board of Appeals. All right. Thank you, Liza, and your team. Appreciate your time.
Brian.
All right. Take care. Maggie, if you'd like to read our next case into the record, please.
Excuse me, our next case is for site plan review 23-8 for Hyannis Harbor Tours, represented by attorney Dan Creedon. Address is 152 Ridgewood Ave in Hyannis, map parcel 328-11. The zoning is now known as the TC, as well as the WP overlay. This proposal is for the operation of a 95-space paid park public parking lot. Access will be over a right-of-way. Applicant has added 4 new handicap parking spaces to this design. Previous site plan review meeting was held on 7/12/2022.
Thank you, Maggie. And who would like, sorry, not who. Dan, would you like to start? You'll have to unmute, sir. You were working away earlier and the papers were making a bunch of noise, so I muted you. I apologize.
Oh, that's all right. Sorry about that. I didn't realize. Good morning, Mr. Florence, members of the committee. For the record, Dan Creedon, an attorney. I'm representing Hyannis Harbor Tours, the owner of the property and your applicant. This is, we were also before informal
Check.
site plan review on about a month and a half ago on 2/14. So we're back. We were asked to make some changes to the plan, which we did. We added the elevation of the catch basins, and we widened the accessibility strip to the ADA accessible spaces from 4 feet to 5 feet. This is our proposal to redevelop this site from what previously had been a used car dealership with a license for 118 cars, where they also conducted auto repair accessory to that use, into a public park, kiosk controlled parking facility for 95 spaces, 4 of which will be ADA accessible. It is for ferry parking and for public parking. And we are proposing to run a shuttle to the ferry, and that's the sum and substance of the proposal. It's very similar to prior proposals presented by this applicant for other sites that the applicant acquired in this area in the TD, or the TC now. We are required to obtain a special permit, which we intend to file with the planning board, because it is both in the TC district and in the Wellhead Protection Overlay District, which does require a special permit for this use, which is a parking facility. Be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Maggie, have we received any correspondence on this matter?
No additional correspondence, Brian.
Great, thank you. Kate?
Thank you, Brian. Kate Maldonado, and let me know if you would like me to pull up the plan for the record as well.
If you don't mind, that'd be great.
Yeah, let me pull that
So
up.
if the public watches this video, they'll have an opportunity to see it.
Sure. So here's the site plan. I'm not sure if you want the applicant to say anything further. I can go into my comments.
Yeah, just go right into yours, Kate, and
Okay.
identify the areas that you're commenting on.
So as the applicant has mentioned, the subject property is located within our wellhead protection overlay district. So we're seeking confirmation that you're not expanding any of the existing impervious surface on the parking lot, to confirm that you're just restriping but not expanding impervious surface. We'd also like to confirm that there is access, that you have the ability to use this 30-foot right of way. I believe that I was able to dig through the materials on OpenGov and was able to locate a deed which did mention such, but just want to confirm for the record that you do have access. Under the new zoning in the transportation center, commercial parking is allowed as of right, and then with confirmation that you're not expanding impervious coverage and such, we can confirm that no zoning relief is necessary.
Oh,
Dan, can you confirm those?
I can. We don't have any plans to expand the impervious coverage, and the right of way. I did do some title research on that. It was interesting. It goes back to a source deed in the 30s and 40s, I believe. But I did provide those deeds. It's interesting because there are two plans. There's a 1933 plan, and then there's a 35 plan. So what happened was the owner purchased it in the 30-foot right of way off of Ridgewood Avenue, was off of the south west corner, extending to Ridgewood, and then there was a subsequent plan that showed it from the northwest corner, which was confusing. And then I was able to locate. They actually did a relocation agreement on the easement, which placed it in its current location, and it is deeded. It is in the chain of title. It's confirmed. It's for the benefit of this property, which otherwise would be inaccessible where it sits. And so as Kate mentioned, I did provide that information, and that should be part of the record. And I'm very confident that we have access over the 30-foot right of way deeded through the chain of title.
Thank you, Dan. So just besides the titles, can you, if you haven't already, will you put a brief narrative together for the record for both of those issues, for the expansion of the asphalt and the right of way?
Say again, sorry, Mr. Chair.
Would you just put a brief narrative together and get those to Maggie regarding your opinion on the right of way, as well as the coverage, asphalt coverage, and that you're not expanding the parking lot? Okay.
Great. Yeah, no problem.
Kate, was there anything else?
I believe that's all. We can confirm that no relief is necessary for the wellhead protection, especially with the applicant's narrative.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is Matt, please.
Matt Rubble, DPW Engineering. Our comments are pretty consistent with the ones that we had generated back on the last informal site plan review. I'll just quickly run through them again. We understand that the applicant isn't doing any additional upgrades to the parking lot. It's just restriping. So we're not requiring any stormwater upgrades to the project, but we'd just like to see the rim and invert elevations added to the catch basins shown. We are requesting that they provide a driveway interconnection between 152 Ridgewood Ave and 9 Engine House Road as required under section 240-241.19C 2E3. We're also looking to revise the parking layout so that it complies with the parking regulations shown in section 240 attachment 2.3. We understand that the applicant seeking a special permit. We're just looking to get that on the record as far as our position. We'd also like to increase the proposed aisle width for the handicap parking striped area from 4 feet to 5 feet as required under 521 CMR 23. And then we'd also like to see inclusion of handicap parking signs as required underneath the same section. That's DPW's only comments on this project.
Thank you. Lieutenant Lamon.
Good morning, Tim Lamon, Hyannis Fire Prevention. I believe it was mentioned in the past with this project. whether or not there's going to be a gate securing the property. And if that's going to be in place, we'd like key box in place so that we have after hours access in the event that we need to access the property. And that's it from us, Brian.
No key boxes for you.
No.
All right, on to Jeff Carter.
Thank you, Brian. Jeff Carter, Building Division. A couple quick notes. There's a structure on the southeast corner that is being proposed to be demoed. We would be requiring a permit for that if that's over 200 square feet. And then any signage that would be installed would also require a building permit through the Building Division. And those are our only comments.
Thank you. And Inspector Stanton.
Thank you, Brian. David Stanton with Health, and the Health Division has no comments on this project. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So Dan, concerning the relief you were talking about, let's have a conversation on the side. Does anybody see any reason why this matter can't proceed to permitting? Seeing none, I would tentatively approve this with a condition that Dan, you and I have a discussion about what type of relief, if any, you need to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
The Planning Board, I'm sorry. All right, well, very good. Any final comments, staff or applicant?
No.
Hearing none, I thank you all for your time. And Dan, if you want to give me a call, let's talk tomorrow if that's convenient.
Tomorrow, sure.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
Staff, as always, thank you for your time. It was very nice to see a couple of our town councilors here today. Councilor Ludke and Councilor Starr, thank you for your time with us here today. You folks have a great rest of the day.
You as well. Thanks.